Greg Seitz' win last week finally puts him on top of the points. Only Spa and Road Atlanta remain now, and his lead is narrow. The early part of the season saw bad luck hamper his charge. Will he be able to avoid the pitfalls that are out of his control in the remaining rounds? We'll find out soon as we get ready to watch Round 9 of the PRL Indy Pro 2000 Series, and you'll see it all live here on the Global Sim Racing channel. Hi, I'm Joe Peak, and with me in the booth is DJ Clark. Behind the scenes is our director, Sean Crackers Ambrose, and he's using cameras provided by Dougie Beard. Spa will be one of the fastest circuits of the season outside of the oval rounds. Drivers will be forced to use all their daring today, so let's look at our track guide to understand more about this place.
Welcome to Spa-Francorchamps. Less than an hour's drive east from the German border, this Belgian track has come to define racing for many different eras in the sport. It's no wonder it continues to entrance drivers when you look at the stats. The 7 kilometers over the course of a lap includes more than 330 feet in elevation change as it weaves its way through the Ardennes forest. Packed into this is 19 turns, some of which are considered among the most famous in the world of racing. Corners like La Source and Blanchement have been on the lips of drivers for decades. But by far the most notorious is Eau Rouge and Radillon. Typically referred to in name by just the first section, it dips low and swings left, then compresses and climbs to the right up a massive hill. The sequence ends with a completely blind crest that sweeps to the left and leads onto the incredibly long Kemmel Straight. The bravery required to be fast through there will pay off towards one of the most popular passing spots at Lacombe. Eau Rouge is exemplary of the rest of the circuit though. Most of the turns are incredibly fast and many include much of that signature elevation change. As jaw-dropping as the track is, you have to remember that this is the modern truncated layout. The old one, raced until 1979, was 14 kilometers in length, yet carried an average speed of 150 miles per hour. Present-day safety measures do cut down on the danger, but even in recent history, the circuit has proven deadly. It's clear why this track continues to be revered and respected by racers the world round.
Well, here at Spa, the Indy Pro's probably not going to feel quite as fast as Formula One cars, DJ, but it's still going to be fast out there.
It is going to be lightning fast, Joe, and this is a circuit that really and truly needs no introduction. But in these Indy Pros, the biggest thing that they are going to have to keep in mind is the Kemmel Straight. This is going to be draft city. Watch for tons and tons and tons of drafting coming down out of Eau Rouge and Radillon. That is where you're going to see the #1 most amount of passes happening down into Lacombe. It's all going to be about trying to keep things in line, though, through the second half of the track, through Pouhon and Campus and Stavolo and all the corners that we know so well. It's going to be down to the drivers to try to hold it there. There is enough aero wake in these cars that they're going to have to watch it coming through Blanchement. I think you're going to have to frankly see some almost oval-like lines when you're coming through there, just trying to poke your nose out, get a little bit of fresh air onto the wing. We could see some good overtakes down into the bus stop as well, as that is a nice long run, but it is going to test these drivers a lot, and something that we always talk about every time we come here is we're going to have to pay attention to the off-track warnings. It's very, very easy to pick up a 1X around here. These drivers are going to have to be very careful not to push the car too hard and drive over the line.
Yeah, we'll talk about that in a bit because there's very few at the limit for them. But today's race is brought to you by SimMSA. Simulation Motorsports Affinity provides many consulting services, from completely customizing simulators to managing teams, individual drivers, and complete events. They're working hard to bring everyone together at one place to support and promote sim racing internationally. Find out how you can bridge the gap between virtual and real motorsports at SimMSA.net.
The PRL Indy Pro 2000 Series is also brought to you by NinjaTrader. Ready to compete against the financial markets? Supporting over 60,000 users across the globe, NinjaTrader provides award-winning trading software and brokerage services. NinjaTrader is always free to use for advanced charting, backtesting, and trade simulation. Visit NinjaTrader.com to get started with a risk-free trading simulator and start tracking your performance.
Today's broadcast is also proudly sponsored by Butt Kicker. Butt Kicker products add an incredible immersion and realism to any game. Feel every nuance and truly put yourself in the driver's seat. Check them out at thebuttkicker.com. Let's take a look at the Points Championship, starting off with the Pro Championship. As I mentioned, Greg Seitz only 2 points ahead of Verity, who is still winless this season. David Menino a ways back, just separated by a single point between himself and Julio Palacio, and then Alex Gaillon 8 points back from Julio. So third, fourth, and fifth probably more concerned with one another than they are those top two, considering we only have these 2 rounds left to go, including today. What about the AM Championship in this series?
Well, that AM Championship is so incredibly tight across the board. A couple of bad races in a row for Tyler Gore have seen him lose his perch from the top, but he sits 6 points back of a tie for first place. That's right, with 2 rounds to go, we are tied here between Brian Hotham and Barry Cochran. Adam Wright still looking to poke his nose in there. He is only 8 points back. Starts to separate out a little bit more from 4th and 5th. Sean Hamilton 15 points back and Britta Cord 28 points back. But keep an eye on this battle as it is absolutely fierce.
Then, of course, we've got the Teams Championship they fight for in this series. Rust Racing up ahead of SRT Esport Blue, only by 4 points. So today could be decisive as they head into the final round. Blown Tranny Racing 40 points back from them. You can essentially count them out from the Points Championship, even though mathematically they could still take it. Parabola Racing is about 14 points behind them, and then it's a big leap back to Red Arrow Racing to round out your top 5. What about for today's event in particular, DJ? What are we up for?
Well, as we mentioned, we are on the penultimate round of this season, and as always, we are having a 45-minute race today. Drivers currently on track for a 15-minute open qualifying. It is an open setup race, and that'll be specifically important at a track like Spa, where you tend to see drivers go either for a low downforce setting, trying to maximize speed on those long straights, or maybe a higher downforce setting, really try to get some better times out of that sector too. Now, there are penalty points that are awarded, and this is where we talked about the dangers of those off tracks, about running the car a little bit wide. They will get a drive-through penalty at 11 incidents and disqualified at 20. I think it'll be hard for them to hit that 20 point, but I would not be surprised if we see a couple of drivers flirting around with that 11X. There are also some bonus points out for that they are competing for right now, which is the pole, as well as fastest lap and a clean race.
Greg Seitz has that provisional pole by about half a second, which is pretty good considering it's a little over 2 minutes to get around here. Tyler Gore, as he comes around, sits in 8th and crosses the line. Second lap going to be a 2:14 flat, and that will jump him up 1 position. As you'd expect with all the off tracks that are able to be gathered up out here, we're still missing a number of drivers for their first time lap. Kita's not one of them. He's actually in 14th currently. His second timed run is going to be a 2:15 flat, 2/10 quicker. Does not put him any higher on the timing sheet, sadly.
And Skesha doing a lot of what we've seen him do earlier, which is not exactly have the best qualifying, but really coming alive during the race. There goes Michael Broomhead. That time does look like it is going to stick with a 2:13. That's a good run for him. 2:13.7. He's going to be up in 6th. Here comes Donald Olson across the line. Donald's going to be able to improve. That'll bump him up to 17th place.
Watch Wynn's perspective, though, here. The 97 still yet to set a time. First one did not count for him. Of course, we know these tires sometimes do need to warm up a bit, so not always a bad thing if you miss your first one, as long as you can get a clean one in. But you can see he's already nearly halfway through, actually more than halfway through the session, and just now setting a second time lap, hopefully, here. Let's see, as he crosses the line, was this one good enough? We didn't see him go off as we were riding. A 2:13.5. That is excellent, and that is going to put him up to 6th.
That's a really good run there for Frank. You saw how little input he was putting on. But here comes Stephen Verity, and now this is really important. That is his teammate, Greg Seitz, right up ahead of him. These two have been playing leapfrog the entire session here. You see Greg Seitz setting the fastest time, Verity setting a faster time, but still back in 3rd. These two are being smart. There goes Greg Exton coming off.
Oop. and Exton gonna have a little bit of a spin out of the bus stop. Verity's last lap actually didn't count, so he must have had an off track somewhere in there. So he'll have to cycle back around and try again. Watching Brett Accord, and looks like that one is another one that will not count. So on to Vargas as he comes through. What's this one going to be? A 2:14.5 is just off of his best, so he'll stay in 11th.
Yeah, and a lot of these drivers that don't have a buddy to draft with, I think it's going to really, really hurt them in this qualifying. Here comes Kita across the line. He is going to be one of those drivers that's trying to do this by himself. He's going to be losing out valuable tenths on down the Kemmel Straight, but he is going to go faster. A 2:14.4. Good lap there for Takeshi. Bumps him up to 13th.
Another driver looking for a time is McLaughlin here. As the 90 reaches the finish line, a 2:13.9. That'll put him on the board, and that actually jumps him up into the top 10, so not a bad deal for him. Duhamel, who is in 15th, jumps up to 14th with that last lap of a 2:14.4. Collender is unfortunately not going to improve, so he'll stay in 21st. Already 4.5 minutes left to go here. It looks like Frank Nguyen going to be up next once again through the bus stop, or through Blanchimont and up towards the bus stop as he hits the binders and weaves his way through.
That is going to be one of those overtaking zones in there, Joe. I have seen passes get done on the outside or the inside. It's really up to driver's discretion. Frank's going to cross the line, not able to go any faster, about 2/10 off of his best time, so he's going to stay 8th for now.
Often doesn't improve by position, although he goes a little bit quicker. Paul Wildridge, that was his first lap that he's actually put down, and it did not count, unfortunately. He's only got time for maybe 2 more here. Alex Guyon, that one a 2:13 flat for him, another 10th knocked off.
It's a good run for Alex. He really seems like he is getting some confidence here. Here comes Adam Wright crossing the line. He's currently 13th. He is in the thick of that championship for the AM category. Not going to be able to go faster here, though, so he's going to stay 13th. Here comes Brett Accord. Brett is able to improve, but yes, that lap does count. So that'll put him 15th. Matthew Gunderson, that's a dirty lap from him.
Yeah, he's still not able to get one down. Interestingly, his teammate who he's riding with, Tyler Gore, is our fastest AM currently. Looks like Dave Peterson going to abandon that lap, and in fact is qualifying in general. As Takeshi Kita back through one more time. He's been improving each lap. Is he going to improve this one, though? Oh, he is, actually. 2:14.4.
Yeah, Joe, I've been watching a little bit of Takeshi. He is going to be one to watch in the race, as he always is, but I think he's running a little bit of a lower downforce setup, and so he's going to be absolutely blinding on those long straightaways. Here comes Michael Broomhead. Broomhead not able to improve. McLaughlin as well, so those two are going to play a little bit of leapfrog here, going through Eau Rouge and up the Kemmel Straight, seeing if they can help each other out.
Back to Brian Hotham once again. Heading out of Curve of Paul Frere. Blanchimont, another driver that's on his lonesome, and his time show it. He's currently back in 20th and even 3 seconds behind Greg Seitz currently on that pole position. No one to help him out in a straight line, so he brakes hard as late as he can down into the bus stop chicane. What's the 27 got? Looks to keep from spinning the tires off the corner. Down to the timing line, which comes pretty early, but it's a 2:15.257. That's just off of his quickest.
Yeah, he's going to be hoping for a little bit more, probably going to have time for one more lap. Wildridge is able to set a time there, finally 21st, so he's not going to be starting dead last. Verity able to improve there, jumping it up, but he's not going to move in position.
It looks like that was a slow one for him. His 2:12.8 still stands. Even though he's got a tow from Greg Seitz, seems to not quite be working out for him. This is Adam Wright now. Sits in 13th and a 2:14.6. That's not going to do it.
Here comes Jacob Exton. Jacob, one of 3 drivers still yet to set a time here. He's going to cross the line with a 14.5. That does look like it's going to stick. So Jacob, good lap for him. He'll start 17th.
He'll have one more lap if he wants it. No, he doesn't. He pulls off to the side. What about Takeshi Kita? Really hot end of the bus stop. I'd be absolutely shocked if he goes quicker this time. He's improved every other lap, and yep, this one was about half a second slower to 2:15.1.
That car looking all kinds of twitchy here for Takeshi. Oh, same with Michael Broomhead. Good recovery there for Michael. He's going to cross the line. Did he just go faster?
He did. So clearly he's still got room for improvement. Duhamel crossed the line and he parks it. He's done for the day. Is 7 seconds left on the clock. Frank Nguyen's going to be the first one to take the checkered flag here in this qualifying session. He sits in 8th. He only has to improve 1/1000th to go faster than Legault ahead of him. All he needs is the smallest of margins, and he is at least to the inside of row 4. Let's see what it's going to be. He's got a 2:13.560 as he comes to the line. 2:13.609, just shy.
Barely missing out there. Brian Hotham. Hotham is going to be able to improve, though. That'll bump him up a couple. Here comes Paul Wildridge, seeing what he can do. That's a great run for Paul. That's going to move him well up the charts. Verity looks like...
Yeah.
He got it.
Front
He got
row.
it.
Front row for Stephen Verity. Oh, and Julio Palacio just took it away.
Oh, so close there for Stephen Verity. But Palacio putting in a mega lap there. We watch Adam Wright coming across the line, one of the AM drivers in the hunt for the championship. He is currently in 14th. He's going to cross the line. That's faster. He moves up to 11th.
Just shy of Sean Duhamel, who is currently our fastest AM, is spinning off the track. Barnett ends it in spectacular fashion. Still doesn't have a timed lap, unfortunately. So Colander, is he our last one? I do see Takeshi Kita still behind him. Looks like Colander won't count, unfortunately. So the number 30 coming on down. Let's see if he can go quicker than that 2:14.4. Only lap that he's gone slower on was that last one, lap 5. It'll be tidier. Yes, he will. A little off the apex, though. No, but he's going to decide that it is not worth continuing on with, which means our qualifying is now done. Let's go through our starting order. It'll be Greg Seitz who gets another pole and another bonus point to try and stretch himself away from his teammate. Julio Palacio starts from second, with Stephen Verity only briefly being on the front row before he unfortunately got denied. He'll have Dave Menino to his outside, and then J.R. Williams will start in 5th. Alex Gaillon will be P6 with Olivier Legault in 7th. Then it's Frank Nguyen in P8, and row 5 has Michael Broomhead in 9th and Sean Duhamel in 10th.
Starting off the inside of row 6 will be your highest placed AM driver. That's Adam Wright, and to his outside will be Owen McLaughlin. Behind them, Tyler Gore and Lucio Vargas will make up row 7. Starting off in 15th will be Takeshi Kita, followed by Paul Wildridge, Brett Accord, and Jacob Exton lining up behind him. Dave Peterson will start off in 19th, followed by Donald Olson in 20th.
Brian Hotham will be P21 with Neil Alexander in 22nd and Nick Colander in 23rd. Last driver to get a lap in was Barry Cochran in 24th. Matthew Gunderson and Daniel Barnett will be lined up on the last row. It does appear that we'll have all 26 cars take part, so it really will be like a Grand Prix here today. Well, a Grand Prix not since 1994, unfortunately.
Indeed, indeed.
All right, so the clock ticks down to 0, and the cars will grid up. Now, unlike what the Formula One cars will do, and most of the open wheelers that you tend to see here, they'll actually do a rolling start, like the Indy Pro cars would do in real life, even though they're off on a European track. So will be slightly different. I still, though, if it was me, would give quite a bit of care heading into La Source.
Oh no, Joe, that is one of the absolute danger zones that you see on any circuit. You've got to be very, very careful. And normally when you're coming into a corner, a hairpin to sort of start off the lap, you always want to be looking to your inside, checking out for dive bombs, anything like that. But the truth is you have to be just as careful around the outside. La Source is such a wide corner. Do not be surprised if we see guys going in there 3 wide. So they've got to be really, really careful and have ultimate spatial awareness to make sure that they get through there cleanly.
All kinds of crazy wrecks have happened into there with professionals. And while these guys are good, I don't think any of them are making a day job out of sim racing quite yet. So we'll see how they fare as we wait for just the last couple. Looks like our pole sitter and third place driver giving a fair bit of time. Wonder if they're having a little bit of powwow here before they take to the grid with them being teammates. Trying to suss out what last little changes they want to make on their setup. They do get about roughly 2 minutes to try and put the car on the grid, and then after that they are relegated to a pit lane start. They've got about 30 seconds left on that. Greg Seitz now finds his way out through the front. What has Palacio got in this one? Sits 5th in the points, and Palacio, of course, has had his fair share of problems this season with the DNF on the very first round, unfortunately. So they now take off behind the Porsche pace car, and it's been a little bit since we've seen him up on the podium.
It is. He's struggled a little bit in recent races, but I would not be surprised if we see Julio having a good run here. What he has got to worry about, and he needs to be in contact with this, his teammate Menino behind him. There's going to be, I think, some teammate games here with the Rust Racing boys on the inside and those SRT boys to the outside. It's going to be something to watch about how they decide to play with each other.
I hadn't even thought about that. The slipstream here could provide some team tactics throughout the race if they can stick with one another. Here comes the Porsche pace car, giving way to Greg Seitz. He comes around the final corner. He goes immediately. Green flag is out. He drops everybody. Palacio gives chase, but it's Menino and Verity fighting for the 3rd position as Verity is to the inside, but he's a little bit behind David. Tries to get the launch off the corner, and it's going to be a drag race down the hill. Not seeing any issues in the background, so it looks like we may have had a clean run through La Source.
We did indeed. I just cycled my way back through and checked it out, but Verity there trying to fight back up Eau Rouge. He's able to sort of kind of do it, but that's going to open up the door. J.R. Williams now looking very aggressive to the inside of Stephen Verity, and I believe that is Williams also trying to challenge up on Menino. This is going to get spicy into Lacombe.
Oh, and behind him, Alex Gaillon already challenging around the outside. Verity having the exact opposite sort of start that he would want here today. Side by side with him through Malmedy and plunging down towards Rivage. Verity still can't hold him back. Gaillon is fully in front, and he shuts the door.
And he's got to be careful. That's Olivier Legault and Michael Broomhead behind him that are looking very feisty as well. So they're going to try to poke their nose up forward. But we've got to think about Greg Seitz has about a 1.3 second advantage. The draft is going to come into full play at about 1.5 to 1.8 seconds. That's the last point you're going to see it. But he's going to have a mirror full of 3 SRT teammates. They are going to try to use this and try to dethrone Greg Seitz.
Well, this is horrible for our former championship leader Verity, but it's great for Greg Seitz if he can keep the positions where they are. Because Verity is his closest rival in the points currently as they come out of Fanguise. I think we had an issue with that was Donald Olson. I see some damage. The front wing is off. We'll try and find out what happened to him a little bit later. But as we continue on, another area where the slipstream is quite powerful, and Greg Seitz already looks like he's broken it because it's 1.7 seconds, getting ready to complete the first lap with Palacio in P2 and Dave Menino behind him, and a whole trade of cars, frankly, all running along.
Yeah, this is frankly reminiscent of Formula One races here, Joe. I think Greg Seitz knows what that draft effectiveness window is and is just pushing like mad to try to keep out of it and prevent any of these drivers from behind him coming back up. Everybody relatively single file there through La Source. Nobody looking too feisty.
Indeed, so they Pit Eau Rouge once again. Greg Seitz nice and tidy up and over the top, but we're watching Julio Palacio here, who's trying to shake the likes of Dave Menino as they head toward the braking of Lacombe. Just a little bit too far back this time. They're all just a little bit too far behind one another, all spaced out in spite of the slipstream.
Yeah, nobody really being able to tuck up and get maximum effectiveness here, but don't be surprised if we start to see that come into play a little bit later. Drivers may be a little bit hesitant, not wanting to go too hard in these opening laps.
Indeed. Bad news is Jacob Exton also had to come down pit lane. Looks like he may have had some sort of penalty or damage that he's had to deal with. Through Pouan, one of the quickest corners in this track, plunging downhill, double apexer, frightening corner even in the sim. And we hop on board, watching as they break into Vanies. This is from Menino's perspective, looking at the gearbox of the 194.
And you can see Palacio pulling away ever so slightly through Fagnes as they make their way through Stavolo. And just remember, Joe, that we are so used to seeing Formula One cars zip their way around here. These cars have about half the downforce of those F1 cars, so they are having to play with the throttle a lot more than some of our racing heroes do. They've got to be a lot more careful.
Had a problem with Brett Accord, the 151. Looks like he lost it coming out of Fagnes. I think this is pretty similar to the Alfa Romeo like we saw this last year in 2020. Giovinazzi, unfortunately, falling victim to the difficulties of Spa. And here comes Brett through this swift chicane. Oh, some curb to the inside, and that's going to shake it loose, unfortunately, winding up in the tires.
Yeah, a little bit of curb, a little bit of wheel spin there, and just couldn't get the car collected back under him, so he is towed back to the pits here, taking repairs. We'll have to wait and see if he gets back on track at any point.
Looking at 8th position, this is Michael Broomhead, really the first big split we have after Seitz and Palacio. He's towing along Nguyen and Adam Wright. Wright's got a good run here coming down into the corner. Look at them just spread out, fan out, try to break the slipstream, and it'll actually work because nobody's going to change positions in this trio.
Not in that trio, but up front, David Menino was able to get by Julio Palacio, as was Stephen Verity able to get by Alex Gaillon. So those guys both taking good advantage of the slipstream. I didn't see Palacio fight him too much, Menino that is, so I think that may have been a little bit of team tactic to try to see what he can do there.
Yeah, the slipstream could allow them to go that little bit quicker. Verity getting one position back after losing so many. Remember, he started this thing in 3rd. He's back to 5th. He's got work to do. J.R. Williams about half a second up the road in front of him. We continue to watch Menino lead Palacio. Let's glance once again, though, at Broomhead. And it seems that Frank has almost got him on the ropes here. He's 2/10 behind. And coming out of curve of Paul Frere, if he gets the launch, he's going to have a great shot at it.
He is, and just look how twitchy that car from Michael Broomhead was coming over the curb. Suspension may not exactly be set up. Here is that run. Here comes Nguyen. He's got to hold it here for a second until they get the Blanchimont. He's got to keep his foot in it. There you see him poking his nose to the outside. Gets the good effect of the draft. Here he goes, trying to go to the outside, around bus stop. He's got to be late on the brakes, Joe.
And he is. He gets his nose ahead, and he's going to claim the corner. So move Frank up to 8th as Broomhead slips his tires a little bit coming off of the bus stop chicane. That'll cost him a few car lengths up to the number 97, and it'll make him vulnerable to Adam Wright behind him.
It will indeed. Adam very, very close here. We ride on board with Adam. You get a sense of this corner that everybody loves. Oh, it's the beauty that is Eau Rouge. 12 stories left, right. Here we go.
Cars start to pick up speed, 145 through that change of direction and over the crest. And then they continue to climb up the Kemmel Straight. And Frank Nguyen, he's going to have to give this spot back potentially because Broomhead's got a great tow. But still, once again, on the binders, Frank seems to have the advantage, and he is going to fend him off successfully.
He does. That's a good bit of defensive driving there from Frank Nguyen, just holding off to that inside line. And it looks like he's really got a good understanding of the brakes in that car, able to apply it very, very well. But all of that squabbling, they're having some problems. But here's Kita.
Kita side by side with Duhamel coming down into No Name, and there's a wreck in front of them. I was trying to pick out who that was. We'll get to it in a second, but we'll watch this battle first. And I think it was Frank Nguyen that we lost. Coming down through Puan. Duhamel still ahead of Vargas as they come off the corner, breaking down into Van Gies. Vargas not able to do anything. They separate. So let's take a look at what happened to Frank.
All right, so this is the replay here. You see a little bit more of that battle. We're jumping it back to that battle that we saw him engage with Michael Broomhead. So here he goes to the second part of the column. Now he's going to dive it down here into the right-hander of Ravage. This is a tricky corner. You've got to get it just right. Be late on the throttle, really diamond off the corner. You see it sliding around a little bit there. Takes the curb into No Name, and got a little curb on entry, and that just upset the car.
As soon as it snapped on him, there was no saving it, sadly. We got to go to Verity. Verity is under immense pressure. Guyon took a look down into La Source, couldn't make the pass, but Verity was also close to J.R. Williams, who's in fourth in front of him. He's having to play attack and defense at the same time.
He has certainly got his handful. We're right on board with the third car in that train. That is Alex Guyon. Right behind him is his teammate, Olivier Legault. There you can see the effect of that draft. See how much Alex Guyon is closing up on Verity. Here he comes.
Looks to the inside. Verity can't do anything to hold him back, and Guyon tries to outbrake him, holding around the outside as it's going to switch back into the chicane. No, nothing doing, unfortunately, for Verity. And Alex Guyon back into fifth. Past him, they lost a ton of time on J.R. Williams in that exchange. Up ahead of them, our eagle-eyed viewers may have seen the Palacio Menino swap spots once again, and I do believe it is teammates working together at this point.
It may be teammates working together, Joe, but I got to tell you, Greg Seitz has a 4.5-second gap all the way from him to Julio Palacio, so they're going to have to find some magic sauce between those teammates if they're going to get anything up on him at this point.
Only lost 3 drivers so far in this race. When we just saw Exton, who we're still not sure what happened to him, and Donald Olson, who we reported had an incident on lap 1. Brett Accord's back out on track after 4 minutes of repairs, but he's a lap down, unfortunately.
As we continue to ride on board here with Legault, just trying to stalk down Stephen Verity. You see him starting to close here, Joe. I think we may see a move coming up into La Stop.
He's got a good toe. Legault holds that back as they come through Blanchimont. First, he left the door open, then Verity tried to shut it and suddenly saw that there's a car there down to his inside. Legault gets it overlapped at least, maybe tries for an over-under. He gets a fantastic run coming off that final chicane, but he's going to be on the outside yet again, this time into La Source through the hairpin. They're awful close together as they've got a car off to the side in front of them. That's Brett Accord, actually. That's a lapped car, and it looks like Verity will retain 6th place.
He will, Legault not exactly able to get that over-under to work through La Source, but he is already right up behind the rear wing of Verity here. You see him taking an alternate line to Verity, trying to keep as much clean air on that wing as possible. He is now tucked up behind. Here comes that draft. That's Legault to the outside. Verity defending to the inside.
Just nothing he can do. Verity has to let him by as he's fully ahead by the braking zone. So Legault now up to 6th, and Verity all the way down to 7th place. I can report that Duhamel just got Vargas, I think. Also, we got a nice battle for 9th. Wright leads Gore and McLaughlin.
Now, Joe, this is very important when it comes to that AM championship. Remember, Tyler Gore, one of the guys we talked about, he's had a string of bad races, going to be hoping to do better here. He is in that gold machine. Adam Wright in that very brightly colored pink and teal machine ahead of him.
They head through Puan Looks like Gore has help from his teammate potentially. Let's remember, he and McLaughlin could easily try and swamp Adam Wright here if they manage to put some teamwork into it. Watch from McLaughlin's perspective. Currently running in the 11th position here after starting this race in 12th. He's up one spot from the start, but at least one spot is better than none or going backwards. He still has plenty of race left to go. We're about a third of the way into this thing.
Exactly, and I'm sure he knows that. You don't want to go too crazy too early here at Spa. It is only about 73 degrees track temperature, so I've got to be thinking these drivers are thinking about trying to do this on a one-stopper. This isn't exactly a track known for going crazy on the tires. You saw their right spins!
Wow, didn't have to pass him at all, just had to shake him off the track. And look at all the cars going by. Oh my goodness, Wright unfortunately handing over, it looks like more than half a dozen. So this is the 87 defending down into the bus stop. It's the sausage curves.
Yep, just got those right tires a little bit too much on him. That really upsets the car, and he was just an absolute victim at that point out.
Now, here's what's interesting. You talked about Menino and Palacio, teammates working together. They've now had J.R. Williams catch them. So all three teammates are in a line on track, but unfortunately for them, it's second, third, and fourth, and not first, second, and third.
Exactly. That's going to be a little bit to their detriment, but though, Joe, the one thing these guys are going to be able to do, and we haven't talked about this much, is really save some fuel. When you are tucked that close up behind in a draft, you can just lift off the throttle a bit here and there going down the straightaways, and because of the effects of the aerodynamics, you are sucked along and you don't have to put as much throttle into the car. That lets you save fuel. So these guys that are riding behind, specifically looking at J.R. Williams, do not be surprised if he's able to eke out this pit cycle a couple of more laps.
Lucio Vargas with problems coming out of Ravage, and his car is parked in an awkward spot. I think he actually might be beached. Yeah, he's beached. Oh no. He's trying his hardest to get out of there. He's mostly off the race lane. Nope, he's going to abandon it. He'll have to take a tow. This is really heartbreaking. He was trying to fend off a couple hard chargers here. And I wonder if this is another case of going wide and hitting the curb on the outside. No, it was already getting loose.
Yeah, it was the curbs on the inside of Ravage there that looked like they really got him. He was just trying to gather that car back under him as he went wide on the corner. Wasn't able to do it. And very, very awkward positioning to get beached there. Just you could see him desperately trying to get the wheels going or do anything.
The one thing they haven't added yet in iRacing is being able to rock yourself in the cockpit. Maybe could have gotten the tires to grip up a little bit. We take a look at Duhamel. This is actually, I think, where we just had Vargas wreck from. This is for 12th position. Wildridge is right behind him. And then, of course, you got Dave Peterson in there, coming off of La Source. All of them trying hard to get the throttle down. Peterson spins him up a little bit. That'll lose him some time. They head for Eau Rouge now. And Peterson should get some of this back with the slipstream, but will he get a single file line in front of him or too wide? Because Wildridge, here he goes.
Wildridge taking a lot of speed over the top of the corner there. Wow, aggressive move down to the inside is Wildridge. Here comes Peterson sitting in that popcorn position, waiting to watch. I don't think he's going to try to go for a move here. He's a little far back, but Wildridge ahead. That's going to put Duhamel on the back foot, but Wildridge goes wide.
Way too hot into that corner. He doesn't hit anything, but he gets an automatic slowdown penalty to hand the time back for cutting the course. And the number 9 falls to 14th because of that error. It was a valiant effort. It just maybe was too much of an effort into there. Down through Speaker's Corner and heading towards Pouan. This means now that Sean Duhamel is back in the 12th.
It does, and eagle-eyed viewers may be noticing that is Adam Wright behind them in that pink and teal car, so he is really starting to poke his nose into this battle, recovering from an early spin.
And we watched that one happen live for Adam Wright, and he's got decent pace from what we've seen, so he should have opportunities to try and pass. That's the nice thing about Spa is that there's still plenty of chances to try and make one stick. Something's got to be wrong with Stephen Verity here today. He just lost a spot to Broomhead. He's down to 8th now.
Something in that car just doesn't look right, Joe. I don't know if he's having setup problems or for whatever reason, this is just not his track, not his day. But Stephen Verity just going the wrong way.
Now, they do get drop rounds in this series, and Verity's only missed the podium once, twice actually. Both of them on ovals. His worst score being a 20th. In fact, that was the only time that he was outside of the top 5 even. Some damage going over a curb or with a small off track. You would think that he would be closing in on that double odd.
Well, Joe, it's a little bit of an interesting shift pattern. If you saw it coming up through Eau Rouge like that, it looked like he was redlining almost constantly through Eau Rouge. I'm not sure exactly what's going on with that car. Something's just not right.
Well, hopefully we'll get to talk to him and find out what exactly happened. Next one back is going to be Owen McLaughlin at about 3.5 seconds behind him. Let's once again glance at Duhamel, as they have absolutely been joined by Adam Wright, so it is now a 4-car tussle.
It certainly is. Wright going to try to poke his nose up in here, and you can see that is Duhamel leading from Peterson, Wildridge, and Wright. Right up behind Wildridge here at this point as they come down into Pujol.
Wildridge, is he? Whoa, yeah, I think he's watching his mirrors because he's not watching forward. A little bit of a mistake, and Adam Wright has a poke. That's not going to be good enough down into Fangy's. Hard to make passes into that corner. Both of them riding a lot of curve to the inside there. Way off the apex, though, for the second part on Wildridge. Doesn't lose too much. And then here we go again. Another long run as they head towards the bus stop.
Well, and Joe, we've seen so many drivers get loose on the curves. You can see just how much Wildridge's car was swirling under him whenever he ran it. But here comes Wright. He's down to the inside of Blanchimont. He is not going to try to make this too wide. I think he is. Is Wildridge going to back off? Yes. Wildridge very smartly backs off. That is position up for Adam Wright.
Next on the list, Dave Peterson. He gains a ton of time on him, breaking down into the bus stop. Oh, but he's a little too eager off the corner. Manages to catch it. Costs him a 10th or 2 on the way out, though.
He does indeed, but he's going to have the advantage of the mega draft here coming through La Source and the run all the way up the hill to Lacombe. Good exit off the corner there for him. It looks like he is going to be about 0.7 of a second behind Peterson in front of him.
Mega draft sounds like something out of a superhero comic book as they come up and over Radion. And a big toe from Peterson. Is he going to swap with his teammate, Duhamel? No, he lifts, which is good news for Adam Wright, since he'll be able to gain a little bit of that toe off of the back of the 35.
He will get a little bit of double draft, as it were. But kudos here to Paul Wildridge. He is keeping right up behind Adam Wright. But now comes the twisty section of this course. This is where we saw Wright really start to push the pressure to Paul Wildridge on the previous lap. Now he's going to try to do the same thing here to Dave Peterson.
I think we may have already had our first drive-through penalty, because I see that Daniel Barnett has been in pit lane but has not stopped in his stall. He's got damage, though. Interesting. Missing his front wing. Being lapped even right here. That was Greg Seitz.
Yeah, and it looks like there may be something a little bit wrong with that left rear tire on his car as well, so not entirely sure what that is. But yeah, that car is definitely limping.
Take it into pit lane. Yep. He's going to come on in and get some repairs. But as I said, he has been down pit lane once, it looks like. Unless he started from pit lane and I just missed it. I'll try and check on that, see if I can confirm what the story is for him. Meanwhile, Greg Seitz, 7.8 seconds ahead of Menino, Palacio, and Williams. Oh, and Verity is in.
Interesting. Okay, Stephen Verity here deciding to take a little bit of an alternate strategy to see if that can cure as well as also Takeshi Kita coming in as well.
See, I think this, to me, points towards some sort of damage on the car. I think Verity's coming in early so he can get it repaired and try and get out there and be quicker towards the latter half of it. Let's see how long the pit stop is. He waits for the tires to finish. He's off the jacks and he is away, 11 seconds.
And Joe, it looked like there was a little blip on the front wing when he came down, so there was wing damage on that car.
Cars have to be so sparkling clean around this track to keep speed up, and Verity must have paid the price with that tiniest little bit of contact early on. Let's see if it helps him maybe gain a few of those spots back in the meantime. Let's go back to Dave Peterson. Adam Wright has got him in his sights, and I think he might try something here soon, the way that car is behaving.
Well, Joe, I can report going down the Kemmel Straight that he had a very, very good run on him. Adam Wright did. But Dave Peterson and Sean Hamill playing a little bit of teammate hocus pocus going down the straight. As Wright started to get the run, they boxed him into the outside, so he was unable to bring the car to the inside and had to lift and blunt his momentum. So very good heads-up teammate driving there from the two of them.
Fantastic stuff. I said it might come into play. Watch from on board. A lot of curb here from Adam Wright. He certainly likes to do that through here. Maybe set up the car to be able to handle that. Is it just me, or does he? Yeah, I think he does have Skeletor from the He-Man universe, the Masters of the Universe series on his helmet. I love it.
Fantastic.
I have a friend who's quite obsessed with Skeletor, so I'm going to have to point him towards this after that. Oh, Greg Seitz is in. 74. Is he responding to his teammate, or is he just deciding now is a good time? It's Eddie. This is interesting.
It is about around the halfway point of the race. That battle we were watching, Tyler Gore coming in, as well as it looks like Will Duhamel and Peterson coming in too.
Okay, so a lot of takers now. Maybe it's just a very narrow pit window around here, because yeah, it's 22 minutes and 30 seconds would be the halfway mark here. So they only have about 3 or 4 laps then that they can play with on the window if this is the case. Peterson is in and out. Peterson must have had some damage as well, because he had about as long of a stop as we saw from Verity. Menino gets to inherit the lead after that, bringing along his 2 teammates, Palacio and Williams.
Well, Joe, thinking a little bit on the strategy game for all of this, Greg Seitz has been running by himself for the entire time, so it would make sense that he is burning a little bit more fuel than his competitors and would have to come in early. So this may just be a coverage stop for Seitz. Now, with Menino, Palacio, and Williams, who are on your screen right now, they've been able to play tandem with each other and save some of that fuel, so it makes sense they'd be able to go longer. Now, the flip of that is thinking about Duhamel and Peterson, who we were watching that battle a lot of earlier. In that battle, it really looked like that Duhamel was running out front, and the last thing you want to do is break up a train. You do not want to be riding around this track by yourself, so if you've got a teammate that can come in, pit with you, and guarantee that you can keep that draft going, that's a good strategy. Unfortunately, Dave Peterson's slow pit stop kind of blunted that.
All right, top 3 now entering pit lane. Guyon follows them, Legault as well. Wager a guess that this is the end of that pit window. We expect Seitz to be well past everybody. Look at, he's already coming past the entry, and these drivers haven't even hit their pit stalls yet.
Greg Seitz just doing Greg Seitz things here today and absolutely dominating this race. There he goes on by, your leader taking the crown back once again.
All right, Menino is back out and running. He'll re-enter in second, Palacio in third, and Guyon in fourth. What happened to Williams? Williams is in long, very long. Did he speed in pit lane?
he must have, Joe. I'm not seeing any sort of clicks or repair on that. He must have picked up a penalty.
No, and when you get the speeding penalty before your pit stop, you get an extra amount of time if you take your service. Yeah, 38 seconds. That looks to me like he sped on the way in, unfortunately. Oh my goodness. So that drops him to 15th place. My goodness, that was catastrophic to his race. He was looking at a potential podium.
Very, very hard for the 2-1-3. But also, speaking about drivers that fell down during the course of that, Stephen Verity, Joe, the number 4, in 8th place right now.
I think that's where he was when he entered pit lane, but this looks like an easy pass on McLaughlin. Very easy pass on McLaughlin. Almost made him look like he was standing still. So up to 7th now for Stephen.
So maybe that repair helping him out just a little bit here. He looks like he's got a little bit more confidence in the car.
Yeah, but that was super fast in a straight line, unless maybe Owen also got some damage and they were in a reverse situation. That or Owen maybe just seeing that he had regained his pace, didn't want to hold him up. That was very bizarre the way. Whoa! Oh, as Verity starts to lose it, coming into Fangis, catches it, and thankfully doesn't see it get turned around and doesn't lose the spot. But now he's got extra work to do to catch up to Broomhead.
He does indeed, and that gap is pretty substantial at this point. It's about 5.8 seconds up the road to Michael Broomhead, so he's got a lot of work to do here in the closing 15 minutes.
To give you an idea of the cost of the damage on Verity's car after the pit stops here, Greg Seitz is 26 seconds ahead of him. That's our leader right now, Greg in the 74. So if you would anticipate that they'd at least have similar-ish pace with them being teammates, and they have finished 1-2 many times in this race, Verity probably lost about 20 seconds or so. Meanwhile, this is Wright and Wildridge on screen. Wright going to be able to overtake Paul with a smooth move at the bus stop.
Forced an error there out of Paul and was just able to muscle it in around the outside of the second part of the bus stop, so move Adam Wright up into 11th place.
Right on his own recovery drive. Actually, he's managed to get it back to where he started the race, but he was obviously up a lot farther than this before. Gonna take a look at Verity as McLaughlin used the toe. Easily get beside him, and will he go by completely? Almost. He's got it. So McLaughlin frustrating the 04 here today and not letting him run away with things.
Verity looked like he was thinking about trying to make a move at the same place he did last time, but thinks better of it. Now he's going to be stuck behind as they work their way through Ravage into No Name and down through Pujol, trying to find something here.
Now let's remember that Verity races for Rust Racing along with Greg Seitz, and it's 4 points between themselves and SRT Esport Blue. Let me double check to see where things sit right now, because if they wind up losing the lead, that's going to really put them under the gun in the final rounds next week.
It is, and Road Atlanta is a notoriously difficult circuit in these little underpowered open wheel cars, so I think everybody's going to have their work cut out for them on that track. You don't want to leave anything to chance going into that final round.
So here's the bad news for them. It's Menino and Palacio who are second and third right now. Those are SRT Esport Blue drivers. So I think even with Greg Seitz taking the win, they're looking like they're going to take the lead back, as Verity is going to try and fight back himself, coming down into the bus stop, and that's going to be a successful pass. But will he lose it on the run back to Lacombe? Does he have any way to defend?
I mean, we've seen time and time again just how easy it is to get that slipstream working. So if I'm Owen McLaughlin here, I'm just going to try to focus on my corner exit. Gets a nice one. Verity looks like he's got a little bit better of a run as they start to go down the hill. But right about now is when that slipstream start is going to start taking effect. He's only about 0.3 of a second behind, and he'll pull that up in no time.
And over the crest. Yeah, here we go. He's already got it to about a car length. Verity's going to hold the inside. Will McLaughlin not need it. He's managed to get fully past, still trying to poke his nose in. Verity thinks about it and then has to give it up.
Yeah, it looked like Verity was maybe just thinking that he could convince Owen into outbraking himself going down into the column, but that clearly not happening. So it's just the same thing on a different lap here. Joe Verity just constantly scrapping with Owen McLaughlin.
This is not the day that the 04 was looking for. I can report that Wright, Wildridge, and Duhamel were in a close fight coming up to Lacombe as well, but Wright successfully defended on Paul. Duhamel in that measure has caught up, so we're going to look, though, in the meantime at Verity, who is unfortunately still behind Owen McLaughlin. Credit to Owen, though, here. He sees a chance for finishing one position higher, and he's not going to give it up.
No, he's not. He's really putting on an impressive drive here. We don't normally see Owen on the screen a whole bunch, but he is really, really impressing me here today.
Remember, he started in 12th, so he's up 5 spots if he finishes here in 7th place. I can understand why he doesn't want to give this one up. Remember, he doesn't have a horse in this race when it comes to the in the championship fight at this point. McLaughlin's currently down 7th in the points. Of course, he wants to try and beat whoever is around him in that battle. And finishing as high up as possible is what he has to do. He doesn't really care where Verity winds up, because that's Verity's concern.
Yeah, exactly. And now we're going to see these roles reverse with Verity behind coming up the Kemmel Straight. Is he going to have the straight line speed to be able to try to overtake Owen McLaughlin here?
See, I think this is the call. I think this is what he needed to do, is just set him up for a run, pass him, and then see if he can try and pull away in the twistier bits on the second sector. He reels him in quite quickly. He was a long ways back. I almost worried he was too far back, but he's coming up. Is he going to be able to pass? He actually might run out. He's looking for it. He's going to stick his nose in, but he does run out. He manages to get him off the apex, but he's not going to grab the spot.
Tail getting a little slippy there for him, but he's going to try to fight back. Here he goes to the outside. Can he hold it? Diving to the inside up Ravage. He's got it.
Smooth move coming through Lacombe and Malmedy. So Verity gets by. Now is when he's got to hustle the car and try and break away from Owen McLaughlin. A report and all of this as well. Let's stay here, but just behind them, Tyler Gore is our highest AM driver. Remember, he's looking to get that points lead back. It's looking like currently he will be able to do it.
Yeah, he's got a good gap between himself and Adam Wright, about 10 seconds or so, but Adam is also under a little bit of pressure. But as we say, we stay here. We'll see what McLaughlin can do. He's got another good drag opportunity here, a good pull here that he'll be able to get through Blanchimont and into the bus stop.
So as we ride on board, watching ahead, he's not giving up on this one quite yet. Through Blanchimont and down into the braking of the bus stop. As much as he managed to pull away in much of that lap, Verity looks like he's not going to be able to pull away enough, because McLaughlin's only going to be about 6/10 back.
Yeah, I don't think it's going to be close enough to be able to do that.
Right out of La Source, Verity has a 0.7 of a second gap, but from what I recall, Verity was about farther away from this by a car length or 2, so he still managed to catch up and attack him. I think McLaughlin will have just as easy of a time trying to make a race out of this. Up the Kemmel Straight, through the cloud cover here in the Ardennes. No, he actually isn't catching as much as I thought. Verity is well ahead, and there we go. Verity finally sussed it out. He's going to be able to scamper away, hopefully, here.
He will, and he's going to have another prize right in front of him. That's Michael Broomhead, only about 1.2 seconds up the road.
So even with their fighting back and forth, they've gained on Michael Broomhead. That's actually quite impressive. Broomhead was about 3 or 4 seconds in front of them when they first started swapping spots. As you can see flashes of them in front in the purple and black 00. This is all taking place behind our leader, Greg Seitz, who's currently 11.4 seconds over Dave Menino, and just controlling this race with an iron fist.
Very, very much so, Joe. And, you know, I'm going to attribute this catching of Broomhead here to the fact that Michael Broomhead does not have another car to draft with. I think running in that open air really, really catching him.
A little bit behind them, looking at the fight between Wildridge and Duhamel. And also, don't forget about Dave Peterson. And Wildridge apologizing to Sean, saying he thinks he accidentally squeezed him. Not sure what happened there. They come down towards Blanchimont. Does Duhamel stay patient? No, he's going to take it too wide. Going to try and send it down through Blanchimont, but that looks like a little lift from Paul Wildridge, deciding not to risk that one.
Yeah, it is very, very hard to try to do a too wide move into Blanchimont unless your name is Max Verstappen. And so I think Wildridge there very smartly backing off, just saying, I don't want any part of that. But the problem is now he's going to be prone to attack from Dave Peterson, who has caught up right behind him.
Oh, and I think Verity's got a good shot here. Verity just came off of Radillon, and he's pulling on Broomhead. Oh, Broomhead, did he just disappear? Broomhead having some connection issues, unfortunately. And I think he might have lost connection because now he has disappeared for a while. Well, it looked like it was going to be an exciting fight, and I don't think Verity's too sad, though, to see Michael disappear.
Oh, and Joe, that battle in the back with Sean Duhamel getting very, very spicy as well. This battle between Duhamel, Wildridge, and Peterson right up next to each other. They kind of a reverse situation of what we saw before. It looked like Peterson was sandwiched in behind Duhamel, not able to get a full move done, and so that's going to allow Wildridge to get up front.
Watching from Peterson's perspective, looking at that red and black number 9 down through Pouan. He's still got plenty of opportunity here, even though it's only 5 minutes left and the laps are long. We've seen the slipstream be incredibly powerful. As long as he can hold onto the tail of Paul, he'll certainly get chances to try and make an attack. Doesn't want to do it here, though. He's still watching, kind of showing himself in the mirrors. Way off onto the AstroTurf there for Paul Wildridge.
I think that discretion there from Dave Peterson is very well placed. He got him a little bit offline.
Oh, he got it.
Let him go.
Yeah, he just said he got a black flag. I'm not, maybe for, you know what, that must have been the incident limit. Let's watch and see if he ducks into pit lane, because that's not a slowdown penalty area. If he needs to serve it, he's got to serve it now. Yep, there he goes.
Yep.
Well, there is a definitive victim of the off-tracks here at Spa, and we'll narrow it down to a 2-car fight for 10th between those remaining cars. Is Greg Seitz in all of this? He is coming down towards Pouan right now. 3.5 minutes to go. You know what? He actually might get the white flag next time.
I think you're right on that, Joe. That timing may just work out perfectly.
It'll be close. They're running about 212.5 lap times around here. So the 74, if he loses another 45 seconds, it's going to be very, very tight, honestly. I'm not sure if he'll get back in time or not. Ride on board. Picking up to about 150 miles an hour here. And no lifting down through Blanchimont. Foot flat at it all the way through. 155 miles an hour, and then finally has to get on the binders. Looks like 2 to go here.
Yeah, Yep, that is going to be right. Greg Seitz will take a car across the line, 2 to go for him. Just a quick note in the back, looked like there was a little bit of a battle shaping up between Adam Wright and J.R. Williams, but Adam had a big off track through Pujol, and so that's going to blunt him.
Duhamel still dealing with Peterson, even though they've lost Wildridge. Peterson starting from 19th and up to 13th now, thinking about 12th. You can see that white and navy blue 617 directly in front of him. Not within attacking range, though. Gains a little bit coming through Blanchemont. They're going to break hard down into the bus stop. Maybe he is within attacking range. He seems to think so. He thinks his teammate could be overtaken, and it doesn't quite work out, but the 35 certainly managing to give a little scare to the 617.
Yeah, and that 617 is going to be wary of that attack from now on. I would not be surprised if that was a bit of a set-up move there from Peterson, maybe just thinking, you know what, I think I can take this guy around the outside, so I'm going to show my nose to the inside to make him think that's where I'm going to go, only to do the opposite here in a little bit.
Stick with this to see if it switches around up the Kimmel straight, but just want to give a report. Verity is up to 6, but he's 7 seconds behind the next car up would go. So not looking like he's going to be able to go any positions higher unless someone has a tragedy in front of him. No change here between these two into Lacombe, so the two teammates continue to ride it out. Greg getting close to taking the white flag here soon. He's up almost into Blanchemont.
He is. Greg Seitz just absolutely dominating this race.
14 seconds back to Menino. His fastest lap is 0.6 quicker than David right now.
Well, and Joe, outside of that, his last lap is a full 0.7 quicker than David as well. So just absolutely mega pace here all around from Greg Seitz. As there he goes, setting the fastest lap of the race as he takes the white flag.
2:12.13 that time. I believe it was a 2:12.4 before. Ken Shikita, who tends to work his way forward in a race and has done that today. Started from 15th, he's currently in 9th. Might have to give one of them back. Depends on how feisty J.R. Williams is feeling, because he is currently riding up close to the rear wing, getting ready to try and see if he can do something into the bus stop. Kita defends it first and then comes back to the racing line, and they're going to stay in position.
And remember, J.R. Williams was the one who fell victim of what we suspect to be a pit stop penalty. So there you see him trying to gain back as much as he can. Got a good draft there into Lacombe. They're going to dive down the hill here. They've taken the white flag, so this is really one of two Williams' best shots to get this to work right going up into Lacombe.
That did not look clean at all from Takeshi. And he is now under immense pressure as the Indy's racing car works it up and over Radillon. Is this too soon of a run, though, for J.R. Williams? If he gets in front of him, he'll give the tow right back to his rival. They're going to be side by side. He starts to stall out a little bit. Kita now halfway down the car, still keeping his nose in, hoping maybe he can come back at him into the braking of Lacombe. And he does it. He keeps it side by side through the chicane. He'll have the inside of Malmedy. Tries to get it back, but he can't keep the speed up. Oh, they come together. A big bounce, a hop from the 213, and somehow that car is still on track.
I don't know how the heck it is, Joe. That was absolutely incredible for both drivers to keep it pointed the same way, and this battle is going to continue.
Greg Seitz is unconcerned with any of these shenanigans. Greg Seitz is going to take win number 5, because here at Spa, it never looked like he was going to hand this one over, as Belgium gives another victory to our championship leader. Menino behind him, also stretched away from Julio Palacio, but even though he's not going to be able to take the victory in the race itself, he and his teammate with these finishing positions are looking like they are going to take the team's championship back into their hands. Palacio finishing 3rd.
That'll set up for a very, very good finale coming into Road Atlanta. Alex Guyon going to cross the line in fourth with his teammate, Olivier Legault, right behind him.
A little bit of a fight. Takita just overtook McLaughlin. McLaughlin must be out of fuel.
He's out of fuel. Yep.
Oh, something you never want to do here at Spa. It is a long lap around here. It looks like you'd be able to see the finish, but just barely. Kita with an 8th place. Williams finishes 9th, and unfortunately McLaughlin in 10th. McLaughlin didn't totally sound like he was out of fuel. Did he have a spin or something? It would have, if he had an off or a spin, it would have had to happen before that.
I'm not sure. It may be a situation, Joe, where he was just very worried about fuel. It could also be a cut course penalty. I'm not entirely sure what happened to him there.
I'm not either. Well, regardless, that's going to take us to a quick break here on the Global Sim Racing channel. We'll come back with the unofficial results as well as driver interviews, so don't go away. Welcome back to Spa-Francorchamps. We just watched round 9 of the PRL Indy Pro 2000 series, and Greg Seitz got his 5th win in a row. He has been on a tear. Dave Menino finished in 2nd behind him, with Julio Palacio finishing 3rd. We believe by our calculations, the SRT Esport Blue Guys have now taken back the points lead in the team's championship. Alex Guyon finished in 4th with Olivier Legault in P5 and Stephen Verity in 6th, having to climb back to that after falling as low as 8th or 9th on the track with some wing damage, we think. Tyler Gore was 7th and Takeshi Kita 8th. Then it's J.R. Williams in 9th, and Owen McLaughlin mysteriously slowing down on the final lap and having to settle for 10th.
Adam Wright seemed to be in battles ever since the green flag fell, and after a spin, he was able to come home in 11th, followed by Sean Duhamel and his teammate Dave Peterson in 12th and 13th. Matthew Gunderson came home 14th, followed by Neil Alexander and Barry Cochran. Nicholas Collender in 17th was the last car on the lead lap, and starting those cars a lap down were Daniel Barnett in 18th, Brian Hotham in 19th, and Lucio Vargas in 20th.
Then from there on down, we have some drivers who didn't have great days. Frank Nguyen in 21st. Paul Wildridge was a DNF, so was Broomhead, Accord, Exton, and Olson. We've got our winner ready to talk to us, Greg Seitz, once again for the 5th in a row. They say that momentum is important, especially in championships. Greg, I'd say you got it on your side right now.
Yeah, I think I seem to have it right now. Things are going pretty well.
Now, the downside is, of course, we don't have a drop week in the finale. You gained a lot of points on Steven, but I guess you could say you can't rest on your laurels.
No, definitely not. Never can. The good news for me is Road Atlanta is literally my best track, so I'm expecting to do pretty well there.
Well, that's a good sign for you and your fans as well. This one looked very much under control throughout the race. I mean, do you feel like it was pretty much most important to break that draft early on like you did to keep that from being a little more interesting for the others?
Oh yeah, definitely. Because if they had gotten my draft on the first lap, it would have been really tough to shake them. My best bet would have been to kind of pit outside the same window as them and hope that I could get a good outlap. But I was really happy to see that they had dropped back just enough for me to start to eke ahead. And then once the draft was broken, I was pretty confident I had the pace to stay out in front.
Well, again, congratulations on another victory in impressive fashion, and hopefully we'll get to talk to you come Road Atlanta.
Yeah, hopefully everything goes well, and like I said, hopefully things will do what I'll do well there. It is a good track for me, but it's racing, and you never can tell what's going to happen.
Absolutely. Greg Seitz obviously staying realistic here, knowing it's not over yet. And up next, DJ has caught up with Dave Menino, who, with his teammate, seems to have taken that team's championship back.
Exactly as Joe said there, Dave. You guys looked like you were running really close all there, but no real speed for Greg. But you've got to take some solace in the fact that we think that team's championship is solely back in SRT's possession.
Yeah, exactly. That was the goal all along. We kind of know that Greg's got the drivers' championship wrapped up. So yeah, me and Julio's goal was just to try and split the two of them. And with JR in the mix too at the beginning, unfortunately he had some repairs that he had to take. But yeah, that was the goal, was just to split those guys and try and get second and third, and then hope that Verity fell down the order a little bit.
Well, it certainly looked like that. So I have to ask you, at the beginning of the race, it definitely looked like you guys were kind of running together, playing a little bit of the team game, doing all that. And then after pit stops, you sort of separated out. Now, was that on purpose, or was that just kind of by happenstance? Obviously, I know JR had a problem in pit lane.
Yeah. I mean, it was a little bit on purpose, and basically me and Julio both took tires, and so actually after the pit stops, I think Gayan was pretty close to Julio, so I was prepared to, if I needed to, back off a little bit to give Julio a tow away from Alex. But I mean, once those new tires warmed up, we had the pace on him behind us. So me and Julio at that point just kind of took it easy, ran our own race, and just brought it home for second and third.
Wonderful. Now, looking ahead to that final race of the season, obviously you guys have the lead, but it's not in the bag yet. How do you like your chances at Road Atlanta?
Yeah, I mean, again, if we can split, I mean, I think Greg's pretty much a shoe-in for the win as long as he doesn't make any mistakes. Then, I mean, if we can split the two of them, then we've got a shot. So that's going to be our goal, is to get at least second and third.
Well, we wish you all the luck in the world, Dave. Anybody you'd like to thank on your way out tonight?
Yeah, would just love to thank you guys for the broadcast. Would love to, thank Julio and JR. I mean, I think that was kind of textbook of, a team race there, trying to, do what we could to, pull ourselves away from the field, and it worked out pretty well.
Well, congratulations once again, my friend. That was your second place finisher, Dave Menino. And now Joe Peak has caught up with your third place finisher, Julio Palacio.
Indeed, it's me and Julio down by the schoolyard here, and Julio, a podium finish, and it sounds like you and Dave definitely coming into this with really a plan and a very concerted effort to that team's championship. Julio, do you have a copy? Might not have his mic quite set up yet. We'll give him a chance to see if he can get things hooked up and ready to go here before we abandon this one, because we'd love to talk to Julio about what was a calm drive from himself. Here we go.
Hey guys, sorry about that. Yeah, I mean, Dave and I, from the moment, from qual, we just kind of worked out a strategy. I mean, obviously we still have a chance for the points. I mean, Greg's an amazing driver, and we're never going to catch him in pace alone. So we thought, okay, let's work as a team in qual. And then in the race, we tried a couple of things kind of in real time, seeing what would work best. So yeah, that was a lot of fun in terms of how we ended up kind of working it out, and a lot of fuel saving, as you probably saw, in terms of the brake zones and things like that. But yeah, we definitely had a good time.
Tell me about the start of the race, though. It looks like you got a little caught out as Greg just jumped all of you.
Yeah, I mean, he got a really good start. I mean, and I could see him on the side of me, but it's kind of one of those things. And I'm also always with these cars, since we're in first gear and the tires are cold, I've had a couple of times where you get a lot of wheel spin. But obviously the pole sitter, has earned it, and he got just that extra jump. And then from there, I mean, I actually got a nice jump, from the folks that were behind me. But yeah, he timed it kind of perfectly, and from there he was basically gone.
Now, what can you guys do at Road Atlanta? It's going to be a pretty different track from here at Spa. Can you continue to do this team running, or is that going to be tougher there?
Yeah, I mean, that's our plan. I mean, I actually live in Atlanta, so it's my home track, and I race there like all the time. So I hope we do well. So yeah, I mean, we still have a chance for the championship, for the team. And, Dave's done a fantastic job. He's been quick. So yeah, we will definitely, if our pace is close like here, I mean, obviously here there was a lot of drafting, which was hard to pull away. But we will definitely work in terms of qual and race strategy to try to maximize our points and try to keep it as close as possible.
I love seeing this team game so well organized. Congratulations, Julio, and look forward to talking to you down at your home track.
All right. Sounds good, guys. Thank you for what you do in the broadcast.
It was Julio Palacio finishing third. And our top finisher, we talked about him a couple times, in the AM category is Tyler Gore. DJ's caught up with him.
Well, Tyler, you've had to run a couple of bad races. How does it feel to be back on the top step of that AM podium?
Surprising, to be honest. This was a tough race. And like you said, I had a couple of bad races, and so it's good to be back up here. I didn't expect this, but as you know, track position's everything here, and I had a decent qualifying session, caught a draft, and the rest is history.
Yeah, how was that draft out there? I mean, it looked like it was just absolutely mega across the board.
Yeah, the tow was substantial, and I got to thank my teammates, Owen McLaughlin and Matt Gunderson. They came to the party and helped out, and that tow for me was worth almost 7/10, so that big help. Well,
Tyler, I have to ask you, obviously you got to look at the championship here at this point. Going into Road Atlanta, do you think you can hold on to the lead here?
That's the $1 million question. I think I can, as long as I can keep it clean. That's kind of been my formula all season, and something I really worked hard on. So if I can keep it clean, I think I've got a shot. It's all about not making mistakes, so we'll see.
Well, we wish you all the luck in the world, Tyler, and congratulations again on a great run today.
Thank you, sir. You guys have a great night, and thanks for everything you guys do for us.
That was our winner in the AM category tonight at Spa, but that's going to close out our interview. So before we go, we got to give a big thank you to our sponsors for this series. Of course, Simulation Motorsports, Affinity being a big one. They can be found at SimMSA.net if you want to get involved with the world of sim racing. And as well, a longtime sponsor of the series, NinjaTrader. Their website is very easy to find. It's simply at NinjaTrader.com. And then finally, of course, if you have a sim rig and you want to put all kinds of really cool gadgets on it, go to thebuttkicker.com for butt kicker products and see what kind of immersive things you can do to your rig. Thanks to the companies that provide the software and hardware for our broadcast listed here on your screen. And additional thanks to June Lalonde, who provides our wonderful music. See the screen for how to get a hold of more of her great work. Thanks to the team today, DJ, Sean, and Dougie. If you'd like to find out more about GSRC, including upcoming races, you can find it at globalsimracingchannel.com. Also, check out our social media. We've got a Twitter at GSR Channel, Facebook at Global Sim Racing Channel, and Instagram at GSRC_Graham. Next race will be the finale. It's for all the marbles down at Road Atlanta. That'll be Thursday, March 4th at 9 p.m. Eastern. We have upcoming races for other series listed on the screen, so check those out and mark them down on your calendar. But until next time, race clean, race hard. See you on the track.